All right, race fans, Ryan Aho here. We got the one and only pure stock track champion, I think multiple times. You went it once or twice?
Just
One
once.
champion, just once, close another time, multi-time national champion crew chief. We got Changa in the house. It says Jim McClellan. It took me years to realize his name was actually Jim. I'm like, who the hell's Jim? Why do you keep talking about Jim? I know Changa. I don't know Jim. So he still has to change that, of course, on
I
his
know
Zoom
this.
thing. But it is absolutely Changa. I don't know Jim. And then we have the former editor of the Full Throttle magazine and historian, big race fan, big guy over in eastern Wisconsin. We got the legendary Burt Lehman with us here as well, and bringing you episode number 257. You guys are all wondering, hey, if you're watching, it's dark. I got myself shaded here. Chonga's a little blurry. We did that on purpose. Bert's the single guy in the group. We want to put the focus on him for all you lady viewers out there. He's the guy, Burt Lehman, Lehman. So go ahead, hit him up on Facebook, spam him all you want. Most eligible bachelor in dirt racing. Actually, I got a new truck and have not figured out the lighting in this thing. I'm gonna have to get some lights. The new Kenworth is a lot darker than the Volvo, and my dad always told me I look a hell of a lot better, when the lights are off anyway. So I mean, I guess it is what it is. But before we get into the show, quick shout out Impact Health Sharing. So if you're in the market for health insurance, if you're a family member, if you have, a big family, small family, single person, couple, if you're a business owner, if you pay for health insurance every month, whether it's for yourself or for a group of people, and you're paying too much, deductibles are high, you can only go to specific doctors, and maybe you want to go to a different one, they're not in network. I might have a solution for you. It's called Impact Health Sharing. And you can hit me up. My number is 218-969-1380. You can text me, call me, hit me up on Messenger, however you want to get a hold of me. I can get you a quick, no obligation quote, get you all the information you need to see if maybe we can help you out, help you save some money to spend more money on racing stuff, because that's a lot more fun than, giving it to your insurance guy. I promise. So, Bert, I think you're the only one of us this past weekend that went to a racetrack, albeit it was practice. We're talking about practice, right? We're talking practice. You went to practice. So, how the track, did they put new clay on at Shawano? Did they get the new surface down or no?
They have not put the new clay on yet. I'm not. I mean, they still intend to put clay on, but to get the season started, they're gonna just go with what they have. And when they have, when the weather's better and they have the opportunity to add the clay, I guess that they're gonna add it on then. But they're just gonna try to make the best of the surface that they have right now.
Do the track kind of hold together? I mean, practices typically where I've gone, opening night practices, they usually leave it hard. It's usually dusty, marbly. They're trying to get a base down so it's not all rutted up. Is that kind of how it was, or did they have a little moisture in it? What'd the track look like?
No, I mean the track wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't horrible. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't horrible. I mean, it was well enough to practice on. You wouldn't want to race. It was very, very dusty. But see that's part of the issue that Shano has right now with their racing surface is they have a lot of sand in their racing surface, so it it gets dusty. But overall, I think it went well. I pulled into the parking lot and I was surprised because, well, I mentioned that, nobody's going to be pitting in the infield this year. Everybody's going to be pitting on the outside of the track. And I just assumed that they were going to be using the property adjacent to the speedway. It's owned by a private owner, but that owner lets the speedway use it sometimes. So I just assumed that they made some sort of deal. But no, the pits, they've actually blocked off a good portion of part of the parking lot, and so that that's where they're going to be pitting at the racetrack. So where I normally would park is now a pit area. So I have to find a different place to park when I go to the races in Shawano.
Not necessarily. That's not true, Bert. That's not true. Okay. You could buy a race car. You could buy a race car and you could park where you've been parking for years. That spot is still available. You just need to bring a race car with you. So I don't know. They got, it doesn't matter if you start in late model, right? You're an experienced guy. I mean, kind of like Cole Trickle. I've watched plenty of it, right? I've watched a lot of racing, right? Or you could start they got sport compacts over there. I
Mighty
tell you what,
Fours.
Bert, here's the deal. You get yourself a Mighty Four. I will personally sponsor you. I'll get you your first set of tires. I will sponsor you in your Mighty Four venture for the 2025 season. Tonga, you in? Can we line up another sponsor here? What do you think?
Oh, I think so.
See, Bert, we're hooking you up. We're getting you the ladies. We're getting you sponsors for race cars. We take care of you. Okay, we got your back. Even though you're a Packer, we still like you. Okay, we still like you. Now we come around. We need to get you, talking shit this week, sending us stuff in the group chat about no Super Bowls, and I sent it right back saying you guys got no World Series over there, but we can still be friends. Okay, we can still be friends. All right, so we're gonna do something a little bit different. So just there's so much racing, and we're getting into that time of year where there's an absolute ass ton of racing, right? There's going to be, we could have 12-hour shows, and I know that's what Puka wants, but probably not going to do that. We're going to try to limit that a little bit, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of go by, classes or whatever, and do like a race of the week. And it doesn't need to be, we don't each need to have one. First one to shout it out, bam, that's the one. If somebody has a quick honorable mention, great. But let's just do this week's race of the week, and let's work our way from the bottom to the top, okay? So we'll start at the bottom level of the classes we're going to talk about. We'll start with late models, okay? And Changa, let's start with you. I know what mine is, and Bert only watched a couple, so we probably have the same one. But as far as late models go, and it could be national, could be local, could be whatever, right? This past weekend, what was your race of the week in the late model division?
Well, I'm just gonna go race of the week. Oh, I think I know which one you're gonna take. I'll take the Dirt Kings race just because it's local and Eastern Wisconsin late model drivers finally got to get on the racetrack, and there is a little mixture of some Western. Jake Radetzky was there. Jordan Yagi was there. There's one or two other Minnesota drivers there. So, and it was a good race. And Nick Avalink won, and if you watched his victory lane speech, I think he expressed it pretty well. It's one of the nicer facilities that they get to race at, and it's probably the last one that they'll be racing at there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's sad to see tracks go, and our buddy Dano, he actually sent over. He was paying attention to that too, and he said that Nick Anvelink has 28 Dirt Kings wins, and he's won 33% of the races that he's entered in the Dirt Kings. That's astonishing. Now, I get it. That means 66.7 or whatever, 67% of the races he didn't win. So he's kind of a shitter, right? But he's okay. Bert, you say he's a C student a couple years back, but 33%, that's astonishing. It's been the Nick Anveling show over there for a long time. And did you talk to Jake Radetzky? Is that kind of a one-off deal, or what have you heard there?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him at all.
I did.
You did? Okay.
I did. I got your back. Bert, Eastern Wisconsin News, I got your back. I think he has a Packer helmet. Is that
yes.
right? Does he have
Yes.
No.
I know.
Yeah.
Jake.
Well, I don't know if he still does, but he has raced with the Packer helmet in the past. Yes.
That's why he didn't win. I'll just be honest with you. Blake Adams got a Vikings helmet. He's got 3 wins. Just saying.
You don't happen to... I don't remember my late model drivers that I picked in our draft. But I got Radetzky, didn't I?
I think you did. You did.
So if you look at the top 3 finishers in the Dirt Kings feature, it's Nick Avalink, Jake Radetzky, and Taylor Scheffler. I do believe that they're all on my team, and I think TPO would have been in the top 4 if he would have been there.
I'm just saying Searing won too. All right. So we just saying.
One.
And that Taylor Scheffler pick, that was a good pick. That was a really good pick. I'm
That
proud
was
of
a
you for
running
that one.
pick. I don't even that.
That was a good pick. So I asked Jake, I said, are you planning on running the Dirt Kings this year? And he said, Ryan, here's the deal. I've raced all over Minnesota. I've raced all over North Dakota, South Dakota. Surprisingly, I've only ran very few tracks in Wisconsin, right? Because he mainly stayed west, right? So, Cedar Lake, Menominee, Ashland, but he's never really
Nice.
spent a whole lot of time in eastern Wisconsin. And he says, I want to do something different this year. And I'm looking at racing. I'm going to start out racing all of them and we'll see where it goes. But I plan on racing the lion's share of the Dirt King schedule in 2025. And it kind of reinvigorated him a little bit, give him a little spark, something different to shoot for. And I said, there's some good cars in that deal, but it's been the Nick Anviling show. And even though he's got that Packer helmet, I mean, I get it. Nick's probably a Packer fan too, but he said he might, his goal is maybe to try to steal one or two from him. So going to be kind of fun to watch the 27 ride. Jake Radetsky, a hell of a race car driver. That's a really good addition in a series, right? For like last year, we were wondering, it's like, holy shit, nobody's racing this deal. For them to get a top tier talent to be able to run at least most of them shows for this year, I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be a great addition for the Dirt Kings this year.
Well, I'm excited for it too because I agree. It'll be a great addition to the Dirt Kings, and it'll be good for Eastern Wisconsin late model fans to be able to see Jake follow that series. And the series isn't traveling all over. It's not going to Illinois anymore. It's staying in Wisconsin this year. So I mean, Jake used to. He would usually come to Shawano Speedway at least once a year to race, but he hasn't been to Shawano Speedway for a handful of years. So it'll be good. Hopefully, in late May, there's a doubleheader, Seymour on a Friday night and Shawano on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him over there. That's going to be a great addition. And, add, to Mullen, Springborn, add to that group of people, Jake Radetsky. I think he's going to run really well. Changa, what do you got? What was your late model race of the week?
Well, I'll take the low hanging fruit then, I guess, and I'm sure you'll probably agree with me. It was the Mars Series race.
Really? I thought we talked about this. I thought we talked
There
about
was
this.
not another late model race that I saw.
I'm kidding. I'm fucking with you. Settle down. Come on.
So you need me to change it up? I can change it up. No, but that Mars Series race at Peoria, what a gem of a racetrack. God, just a little teeny tiny bull ring. And my God, every single lap there's action going on a slider here and, contact there. And, Unziker comes from 14th and chases down Fager, drives by him like he's parked and leaves him. I mean, but, at the end, it wasn't all that close. But my God, the battle through the pack for the majority of that race was just exciting. Every lap was excitement.
And that's a local track, right? For me, I'm an Illinois guy now, right? So I'm always a Minnesota guy, live in Illinois now. But the fact is, them Illinois bull rings are awesome. That track's smaller than Fairbury. It's a small quarter, bigger than Macon, smaller than Fairbury. A little bit of character to it, dark, not a lot of lighting, kind of like my truck, right? But the racing was good. And quite honestly, Unziker has been really having a lot of bad luck to start 2025. He needed that win really, really bad. So seeing the El Paso Express park it in Victory Lane, that was a really, really good boost to maybe jumping in this coming week, not this weekend, but the following week, Illinois Speed Weeks. 5 nights of racing action over there at them bull rings. Pretty excited for that. We'll talk about that on next week's show. All right. So I got to ask you this. Okay. So, Bert, you didn't watch any Wasota stuff. Changa, you did. What is with these frickin' Western Minnesota promoters? I got to ask, right? So we got Crush. We got Coach Kraus, right? Promoter at the Viking Speedway. Bert, I don't know how many tires he drove into last year. No clue, right? No clue. I mean, the nonstop. the promoter over there at I-94 got more laps at Fergus Falls than anybody because he literally does a lot of track prep, a lot of track work there. Guys, front row in the feature, him and Dave Moss. I don't exactly know what happened, if he got together or what exactly happened, but he KO'd the tractor tire in the first lap, Bert. First lap, Don Shaw, like Don. And he's fast. I mean, he would have contended for the win. I mean, he's quick over there, but he's like me, right? I got to be honest. I had to get readers. I'm getting older. Maybe I'm just saying, right? Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn in baseball had to get glasses. Maybe I don't know. I'm just kind of punking on him a little bit here. That's a tough break for Don Shaw, but you know, Kraus ain't been on the show, so I'm just wondering, maybe it's a prerequisite if you're a promoter in Western Minnesota, you got to drive into tires. Not sure, but needless to say, who ended up winning that one? TPO got that one, didn't he?
Yeah, TPO checked out. He was gone. But here's a big question. Do you think running over the tire, tearing up a race car takes out a Krause's sponsorship money?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if old Don Shaw is sponsoring Coach Kraus. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see if Shaw Trucking's on there or not. And then, of course, at Ogilvy, Cole Searing, he got his first win. So, I mean, cream rising to the top over there, right? I mean, Chad Mater won at Cedar Lake, you know, if we want to stick on the local theme there for late models. But Searing, Mater, TPO, your winners in local action in the late models. Race of the week, though, Bert talked Dirt Kings. Changa, of course, talked the Mars race at Peoria. That was fantastic. And Illinois late model racing, tough to beat. Let's go to Bert. What do you got?
I do have a question though.
Sure.
Is Blake Adams racing both a modified and a Midwest mod?
Well,
As he
yeah,
keeps winning,
Bert,
Daddle sits
why,
beside me.
Bert, why do you gotta be talking shit about our guy?
I'm not talking. I'm not. I asked the question.
I have a
You start,
secondary to that.
Bert, you're starting to piss me off. Okay. Yeah. So, boy, he's been good in that. He's been good in both. We'll come back to Blake in just a minute.
Okay.
We'll come back to Blake in just a minute. Yes, he off to a rough start in that Midwest mod. If it can go wrong, it has gone wrong. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let's work our way down modifieds. And Bert, I know you said that you didn't watch much as far as the Wissota racing went. You had a pretty busy weekend. Changa, you did. You got a chance to watch a lot of racing. Race of the week this weekend, Wissota modifieds. What do you got? Or in Wissota, I mean, we could clump it all in. But I mean, I think this one's pretty easy.
So to me, I would go to I-94. Lucas Rodin getting his first Wissota modified win, I believe. Am I wrong on that? Or not his first A-mod win, but maybe his first Wissota A-mod win?
That was his first one. Yes, that is correct.
I mean, so he's got the lead, and Landon Atkinson chases him down, takes the lead away from him, and that guy, when he gets the lead, it's over, right? And Rodin found a way to get back around him, but it wasn't just him. I mean, he had Sabraski and TPO and oh God, and Gertis and Gerke. They were everybody who's anybody was right there in the mix, and he just drove away from him. It was a thing of beauty. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, in that place when they get racy, them are really good race cars, right? So to win your first Wissota mod race, it wasn't like a start up front, drive away, easy racetrack, not a lot of people there. That's a stout field of cars. And to be kind of mixing, and like you said, Atkinson got by him. He got back by Atkinson, right, and drove off a little bit. Atkinson's tough. I mean, he's one of the better guys in the area, and then you add in that core group of people. Lucas Rodin is a race car driver. And Pat Dorr told me this a long time ago. It don't matter. If you can win a bunch of races in one class, if you have the right equipment and you stick with it, you can win in any class, right? And he ran some IMCA stuff a little bit, but now he's focusing a little bit. Looks like he's going to run Wissota mod. He is a really good race car driver. Former national champion in the Wissota Midwest mod. So the Nightmare Lucas Rodin could be Nightmare for some of the drivers over there if he races that modified a little bit more often. Couple other quick shout outs. We're going to get back to Blake because he's our boy. But here's the deal. Princeton Speedway, Travis Schulte, multi-time winner of the Mod Nationals in the Midwest Mod Division. That cat is really, really quick. and he got the win over there at Princeton. And I'm telling you right now, I think it was Ogilvy last week. He came from pretty deep to second. He's going to be really, really tough. You look at that Princeton, Ogilvy, that core group, there's a pretty good group of drivers in that area. You add him into that mix, that's going to be good for modified race fans in that area. Keep an eye on Travis Schulte. We'll come back to Blake. Deer Creek, Bert, I got to be honest, they're not having any streaming at Deer Creek this year. Kind of sucks because that racetrack is really fun to watch racing at. Our Brandon Davis getting it done. Sobraski, surprise, surprise. But let's go to this. Modifieds, right? Blake Adams. So Bert, you asked, is Blake running the modified and the B mod? Well, double up this weekend, one at Rice Paddy, right? One at what he ran at, one at Granite. That might have been I watched that one. That might have been my honorable mention for the race of the week because he swapped the lead with the Iron Man there, Sobraski, and that was fun. Right? Sobraski slid him, he got him back, and he kind of distanced him. Cowboy up, drove off into the sunset. It's like, let me ask you guys this. He started out, no, he's got one of them was not WISSOTA. He has one win at Cedar. He's got 2 WISSOTA wins now in the modified division. Should he just scrap the Midwest mod deal and go for the Natty and the A mod instead of the B mod? I mean, or should he do both? What do you think?
My first thought on this is I do not see the One to Go show sticker on the A mod, so we need to make that happen. Right?
It's on there. Yeah, it was on there in Victory Lane. I literally sent a picture in the group chat.
So I apologize. I just assumed I didn't see it on the A mod, so it must only be on the B mod. So
yeah, it's on there.
But I'd be willing to bet that old Buzzard, as long as the kid's running strong in the A mod, Buzzard's going to be perfectly happy sitting on the sideline watching him run 2 cars. And why not, right? I mean, he's just going to get more seat time and get better and better and better. And it's a beautiful thing. It's fun to watch the next generation of stud race car drivers developing before our eyes.
100%. Now, the B mod, I mean, he literally made I like 1 lap or whatever, bent a valve or whatever at Ogilvy a couple weeks back, and he was gonzo. He was going to win at Rice Lake and hit a hole. It was choppy. Track was rough. I mean, opening night rough. I mean, it just is what it is. And the left rear lower arm folded in a U, right? Now, Shangish, I think we'll stick with our theme of kind of going through the race of the week, but we'll come back to that because that's a whole nother topic. And we're going to come back to that in just a second. Is literally rough tracks, cars folding in half, right? It's just crazy, but we're gonna revisit that in just a minute. So super stocks, okay? Anything come to mind there? Race of the week in the super stocks, or you want me to take that one?
Well, I can give you one that I saw, the finish of the week. The Kurt Myers, Terrence Spacek finish at Rice Lake. It was a photo finish. I didn't even know who won that one. They said Kurt Myers won, and when I first saw it, it came in on our text feed, and I thought Spacek had stole it from him. But turns out Kurt Myers won, and I still couldn't tell you who actually did win, but they gave me the answer, I suppose. But yeah, that was a great finish.
Yeah, they got transponders. That was at Rice Lake, and Dan Filto told me that as well, that Kurt Myers, I believe, is 2 wins away from the all-time super stock win record at Rice Lake. I think Don Drew is leading that, and sounds like old Ashtray only a couple away there. So if I were a betting man, he's probably going to get that done here in not so short, not so far down the road. I can see him getting that done pretty quickly because I think he's going to run there quite a bit. But I got to give a shout out to a couple first-time winners, right? I mean, you head over to Princeton, Jason Hobbs holding off Dexton Cook, winless right now. Dexton Cook running good, but not quite good enough. But Jason Hobbs, his first career win in the super stocks. That's always a good one. And then over at Granite City, they had a pair of first-time winners. We're not going to do the race of the week in the Mod 4, so I'll touch on the Mod 4 guy as well. That was Rowan Tram. Can't even read my own writing. Rowan Tram, his first win in the Mod 4s, but in the super stocks, Tommy Bowden, TB81. We talked quite a bit about him last year with some of the teching stuff he had some issues with. Former national, I think, couple-time national champion in the Mod 4, and making the transition well into the super stocks. Couple nights into it, already putting in victory lane. Dexton Cook second there as well. So Dexton, Sabraski losing to rookies. People are wondering, Aho, you gonna come back? You gonna get a race car? When I see Shane Sabraski, Dexton Cook getting their asses whooped by rookies, I don't know if I'm all that interested. I got to be honest. I just like, they're already fast. I don't need to. I'm already humble. I don't need to do that, right? So I'm good. I'm good, right? So congratulations to him. But here's the deal, right? A lot of people are like, it's just Mod 4s. There's some freaking damn good race car drivers come out of that Mod 4 division, right? One of the best WISSOTA late model guys, multi-time NLRA late model champion, Mike Gresseth. He's a multi-time champion in the Mod 4 division. And he says, I'm here to tell you, those things, for as small as they are, the tires, how quick they turn, the power to weight ratio, they're pretty quick. They're pretty sporty. So he said it's a little bit more difficult to drive those than one might think. But that just shows a guy transitioning right from the Mod 4s to a modified to a late model, and he won in everything that he's been in, continues to do so. Would you guys expect anything different from Tommy Bowden? I mean, he's won a shit ton of races in that Mod 4. I expected him to be a very strong contender this year. What do you guys think?
Well, I
Well, I
think.
think.
Oh,
No, go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was just kind of looking back at some of his results early in the season. I think he had, a 10th place at Ogilvy and, running mid pack, but, running mid pack amongst some pretty good runners, right? I mean, early on in his first couple races, and then to start up front and not only win, but he started fourth. He passed a couple guys to get to the lead and then hold off Dexton Cook and Shane Sabraski. That's impressive, right? And I'd like to think that with the new redraw format that they got back in WISSOTA, if he can start in the top couple rows, I mean, there's no reason he couldn't be in contention to win a few this year.
And the fact is, he's got car control. He's a smart racer. He knows where to be on the racetrack. I'm not going to limit it to him just starting up front. Now, let's face it. There's a difference of starting ahead of Dexton Cook, Shane Sabraski, and winning, but graduating to that level of you're going to start behind them, pass them, and win.
Well, that's a big
I'm not
task.
saying he can't do that, but that's tough for anybody. Them guys are really good race car drivers, but that's a hell of a win for both of those guys. Getting their first career wins in the super stocks. One of my buddies, Tristan Labarge, boy, he did not start his season all well. Went down to Granite City, night number 1. Somehow got together with a guy. I think he got pinched a little bit, got into the tire, rolled the nose under. So then he was super tight because he couldn't turn. Nose was under the car, road gradered it, literally went up the racetrack, Bert, hit the wall, rolls over, like literally lap 1 or lap 2 of the season. Front stub junk on that thing. Again, we're going to talk a little bit more about these parts and cars and all that stuff in just a second. But man, good thing he's a fabricator. He'll have that thing back out, but that's he's not a big budget guy, so it kind of sucks to see that. But, hopefully he gets his shit back together pretty quick here. Let's jump down to the Midwest mods, or up to the Midwest mods. We're working our way up. Street Stock's top class. But we'll Midwest mods, race of the week. Any race of the week stick out there, Changa?
Well, I guess the only one I guess I have in my notes was I-94 there again. They had a good feature race where, Rodin started up front and, he's kind of the guy in the Midwest mods. One would think he starts up front. He's pretty tough to beat. And then Ranky come from I believe he started like 8th. He chased him down and just blew by him and checked out. It was an absolute impressive run for him at I-94.
Absolutely. Them two, Ranky was really strong there last year. He won a lot of races there. And again, we just talked about Rodin, right? Out dueling some of the best in WISSOTA and the modifieds to get it done. And then Ranky outdoes him in the Midwest mods. So that just goes to show you the level of competition. People are like, it's just Midwest mods. Okay, well, he just got beat by Nate Ranky, who runs a Midwest mod, and he just whooped a whole bunch of asses in the A mod. So don't give me just Midwest mods. He's the real deal. Another guy, second generation guy, Jake Smith. He had a pair of wins this week. What did he win at? I think he won at Cedar, and did he win at at Granite? So he had a good week. National championship contender Joey Jensen getting a win. David Simpson does not sound like he's going to race a ton this year because he might have had twins. I can't remember. I know he had one kid for sure, but he doesn't sound, he hasn't been down south yet. So none of them Thunder Bay cars making the trip south in the early part of Wissota. Kind of interesting.
So what I heard or what I read on Facebook or something from him, he was on his way down, and I think he might have had hauler troubles and had to turn home.
Okay.
He
Okay.
was
Been
coming
there,
down
done that.
Yep. I did.
Okay.
I did that on Facebook.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate that. I did not see that. And then in the street stocks, I tell you what, Fergus Falls, the track, I mean, a little bit of character, but that made for good racing. Bert, we bang on that place a little bit once in a while, but there was some pretty damn good, exciting racing going on there, including the race of the week in the street stocks. Changa, tell us a little bit about that one.
So there again, we had a bunch of heavy hitters up front running in that street stock race. I believe, if I remember right, and it's been a minute since I watched it, but I believe was it Kyle Dykoff had the lead early. I believe Braden, or not Braden, but Colton Brower gets by him. But at the end of the race, it's Colton Brower and the Rant Kid and Bressith and Dykoff all diced out in the top four, and Brower got the win in that deal. And it's there again, all the best of the best at the racetrack, and a good racetrack on that night, battling it out, and Brower come out on top that night.
And then Dykoff drove away from the boys in Ogilvie the next night. So I hope Dykoff runs a full season. I hope he does, because he'll be a guy to watch all season long. Of course, Ty Agan not going to be racing this year. We have not yet seen Braden Brower. I've heard a couple rumors that he could be running a USRA deal. I'm not sure. But Braden Brower has not been out yet. Of course, Colton Brower has been quick. So it's interesting stuff. Tommy Pagonis getting a win already. Speaking of street stocks, remember Dustin Dowdy's D1 car? He's running a USRA hobby stock, which is more similar to a Wissota street stock than a USRA stock car is. He got the feature win, back in action, going to be racing that down at Deer Creek. Congrats to him. I'm just going to look. Is there any other quick shout outs that we want to give to some drivers out in Montana? They had a double header out there at Electric City. Mario Berger, Jordan Tachi won Midwest Mods. Caden Craver, Street Stocks, Casey Stephenson in the Supers. Just kind of looking through here. Anything else stick out to you?
Not so much.
We got Anthony Jensen. Anthony Jensen, Hornet driver, 3 for 3 to start the season. Remember, they only take your top 20 shows in Wissota Hornets for the national points. So starting out 3 for 3, early contender for the national championship right there. So he'll be kind of fun to watch. I think that's probably it as far as local stuff, but I'm kind of tiptoe around this one, Bert. I probably shouldn't. Probably hit it head on and just smack people in the face. That's kind of what people like. But in years past, different officials, right, whether it's tech or corner guys or whatever, right, we've been pretty critical of several of them for the way they treat drivers. Is that fair, Bert? Like certain people, the way they unfair or not consistent or just being belligerent with drivers and all that, all of the above, right? I especially been very critical. Well, sounds like at one of the local tracks that one of the officials, longtime official actually, was going down that path. And I got this from multiple sources, and they wanted me to kind of put them on blast and whatever. And I was also asked not to, so I'm gonna tiptoe a little bit. Probably shouldn't, but we're gonna try this approach, right? Needless to say, the track promoter caught wind of it, had a conversation with the driver, Bert, and said, "Look, this shit's done. Okay, we are not going down this road. We're not acting like this. We're not treating drivers like this. Why don't you just take the rest of the night off and go home? And then we'll come back next week with a little bit different outlook on things." So a racetrack
Wait,
promoter
he
go
said
ahead.
that to who? Who did he say that to?
Yeah.
To the official?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. So the official, my sources, again, I wasn't there, but my sources tell me that he was not acting in a professional manner towards race car drivers. And some of the drivers were taking offense, not happy with it. The promoter says, not happening at my place, not happening. This shit's got to come to an end. We got to, let's face it, right? There's less and less race car drivers. Numbers are actually fairly similar in some of the classes, but weekly car counts are down across the board throughout Wissota. Can't afford to lose drivers, and they're looking at this certain promoter taking a different approach and saying, look, it is what it is. Just go home, think about it, come back next week. Let's not be treating our drivers this way. Pretty impressed. Pretty impressed, Bert. That's maybe that's a good look here for some of the promoters in the area and some of the board members and whatnot, kind of looking at this and saying, look, no offense to this guy, probably normally a pretty good guy, but we can't be acting like this. We gotta, and that goes both ways, because I was a driver that got all up in the officials' faces when I thought shit went wrong. So it goes both ways, right? But drivers get penalized for that shit, right? Drivers will get suspended, they'll get fined, they'll get kicked out for a night. There was never any, punishment for a track official or a promoter at some places or whatever, and they were never held accountable for this. And the drivers are like, well, this is bullshit. They can talk to us any way they want, but we can't. Like, how's that fair? But pretty impressed with, any thoughts on that?
I definitely have thoughts on it. I mean, it's, more and more in this day and age. I mean, racing is less of a hobby and more of a business, right? I mean, the investment you're putting into these cars, the time you're putting into these cars, it's real. And like I said, it's more of a profession, and we have to act more professional as drivers, as officials, as promoters, as everybody, And and I'm sure you can tell a lot of stories, but just one personal story in my lifetime, I can remember I'm leading the points at the Proctor Speedway. I wind up in the teardown shed because they want to protest my engine. I've got a tech official yelling at me because he wants to go home. He's like, if you don't have that engine out of here in 30 minutes, you're disqualified. I'm like, listen, dude, the engine's freaking 200 and, after it sits after the race. I mean, this thing's 300 degrees. It's burning the hell out of my hand. I'm doing the best I can do. I mean, if you really think you're going to disqualify me because I can't get this thing out of here under your timetable, which is 30 minutes, I'm probably going to burn down your effing house, right? I mean, it's just the deal. It's like, hey, look, I'm doing the best I can. I don't want to be here all night either. I got to go to work in the morning, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, and we've seen it, and I know, Bert, we've talked about it at length. It did many different, not just our area, but across the board. I mean, we've seen it from promoters to officials to tech guys to, I mean, and it doesn't matter the sanctioning body. There's been several different instances of it where they just think they can just come down on the drivers and treat them like shit. And one thing that I'll say this, right? I'll toot my own horn here for a second. I have always 100% been all about the driver. This show for the whole 5 years, it has been 100% about I got the side and the back of the drivers always. And I'm pumped to see that they looked at that and they said, look, this can happen. Let's do better next week. And my guess is they had a conversation. The guy will probably do better, but setting the tone in April with an official, right? That goes out throughout the whole area to all the promoters. I guarantee everybody heard about it, and they're like, look, this can't happen. If they sent if they send a certain official home, maybe we need to all kind of look at that and do the same thing. So tip of the cap to that racetrack and that racetrack promoter. And I'm going to get a barrage of messages. Who was it? Who was it? You can do your own research on that. If I was going to tell everybody about it, I'd say it on the show. I was asked not to. It's pretty public knowledge, right? So there's not a lot of racetracks that raced. Let's just put it that way. So we talked a little bit about Blake Adams DNFing at Rice Lake. Okay. And Bert, would you agree that the cost of racing is just ridiculously out of hand.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's no secret that the cost of racing is just getting more expensive every year, and I know where you're going with that, and I mean, part of that is, you know, technology is a good thing, but technology is a bad thing also because everybody wants the latest technology, but with race cars, they want things to be as light as possible. And when you do that, obviously you don't make things that last as long as they used to last.
And that's not just in racing, right? I mean, you look at the way houses are built and
Yeah.
cars and trucks and everything under the sun, windows for your house, nothing lasts, right? Furnaces. I mean, everything is built. We're in a throwaway society, right? We used to be in a society where a person bought a pickup truck, and when the engine went bad, they pulled the engine out, freshened the engine, put it back in, kept driving the same pickup truck, right? And worked on it. Now you just throw shit away, right? You just get rid of it. Like, oh, that ain't running. Just bring it to the scrapyard, throw it away. And that's how race cars are now, right? And it bothers me that race cars cost 3 times as much as what they used to cost, but they're junk. They are flat garbage. And if you're a car builder, part manufacturer, I'm sorry, right? But I'm right, right? Half of you people were around in the 90s and 2000s when racetracks were all rough. Rice Lake was rough at their opener, rain opening night. It just happens, right? But there was racetracks we raced on, Bert, was like that every week all season long. And it was rougher than that. And we had to build cars at that point to last, pounding the holes. And guess what? It was more entertaining because people were fearless. They're just pounding the holes and just driving through bonsai equipment, right? I've been critical of drivers saying these guys are a bunch of pussies now. I can't believe they don't. Well, first of all, they can't, because if they drove the cars the same way we did in the holes back in the 90s and 2000s, their shit would fall apart immediately. They would never finish a race, and if they didn't break that night, they'd break the next 5 nights in a row. So they can't. And we built a lot of our own stuff back then. Went to the junkyard, got a spindle, went to the junkyard, we did all that. Now everything's store bought, and it's all China steel and junk and shit breaks. I mean, it's just, you look at a left rear trailing arm bending on Blake Adams' car leading a feature, right? That never would have happened in the early 2000s. There's no fucking way. Not a chance, because they built everything so much stronger then. I remember turbine super stocks, TRC super stocks, the left rear lower trailing arms were all bridged and everything was gusseted because we were pounding the holes and you had to build it to last. Jimmy Mars used to say, if you want to win, you got to finish. If you want to win the race, you want to finish first, you got to first finish, right? And I remember that comment coming out of his mouth. And there's nothing against him. This ain't an MB deal, but I'm just saying that was the mentality back then. And now the whole industry across the board, from late models, Bert, these Longhorn guys in the National Touring Series, 15 cars, throw the frame away, get a new one. What are you talking about, right? Like, that's why the average, it's just crazy, right? And like, I looked at Tristan LaBarge's car, and he, in my eyes, I watched him hit the wall and roll over. Bert, he didn't hit the wall very hard. That front stub folded like it now. I mean, it literally looked like he drove wide open into the concrete, and he did not. And it's just the way stuff's designed. Changa, I got to ask you this. Do you think part of the reason for this is because some of these manufacturers, I'm not saying necessarily chassis builders as a whole or whatever, just parts manufacturers are building shit light partially because it's going to bend and break and people got to buy new shit? You think that's part of it? Or
I got so many thoughts because I saw so many examples of it this weekend, right? You saw what happened to Tristan's car. It blew my mind when I saw the picture of how bad that car was, because I know the guys at TRC, and them guys have built cars for us, and we have wrecked some of them cars. And you know what that would have been when we had one of them? It would have just folded the bumper up. We'd have put a new bumper on it and went racing again the next day. And that's no bullshit. I mean, in that car, the tent was folded. That thing was wrecked and it's got a lot of work to be done. It looked to be
Needs
mostly
a
in front
stub.
of,
He's gonna put a stub. He's gonna put a stub on it.
I mean, it looked to be in front of the suspension, but the horn was folded over. I mean, it was ugly. I mean, and that would have been a bumper for us back in the day because shit was stronger. The Blake Adams deal, Rice Lake was choppy. Rice Lake had character, but that ain't nothing like the ruts we used to race on years ago. I watched Jody Belfi battling for a win at Ogilvy, and his car got messed up. He hit a rut wrong. He just, he missed his mark by, 2 feet and upset a race winning car, a car that was capable of having a chance to win anyhow. And he did a good job, got a fifth or a sixth with it. But my God, I mean, they bend and so easily in it, and it's all in the grand scheme of making them lighter and faster. I don't even know that it's necessarily about the almighty dollar. It's just about keeping up with the Joneses. You got to make them lighter to make them faster. And you're just trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Oh, and here's the thing. This is just my opinion as a fan. When I was racing, let's keep this in mind. I'll preface it with this. When I was racing, I wanted that deal bone dry top to bottom. I wanted it slick, and that's how I wanted the track because I felt we were at an advantage, and mostly in the super stocks, right? But now, watching racing, it's awful, right? And on the racer side of it, they're like, we don't want no freaking character in a racetrack. We don't want rough. We don't want tack because, and I get it, right? I've been very critical of racers going, you guys are a bunch of pussies. You all drive like candy asses. Jody Belfi, what the hell's wrong with you? You pull off when it's rough. What are you doing? Well, you have to. The cars are not built to run on that stuff. Now, a guy has to wonder, right? You look at Illinois dirt tracks, and Bert, you watch a lot of Wisconsin racing. You watch a lot of Minnesota racing too. They have water trucks in Illinois. I mean, Peoria was freaking rough. That was cowboy up. Ryan Unzicker was pounding through the holes, cowboy up. I think it was through 1 and 2, just literally cowboy up right through that shit, right? Well, guess what? It seems like half the cars in Wissota country, if they raced on stuff, they all fall apart. I don't really understand. And some of them are the same type of cars, so I don't really get it. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like if they water racetracks, then manufacturers have to build stuff tougher. Fans probably want to come to the racetrack and watch racing because it's more exciting, right? And I think it all starts with watering the racetrack, but it all got to work together because if you can't be tearing shit up either.
So does some of it play a part in them Illinois tracks? Yeah, they've got a little bit of character and they've got some traction in the track, but they're so small you don't carry the amount of speed that's going to destroy the parts.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, yeah, I mean it's like Watertown. When Watertown gets cowboy up, it's a little quarter-mile track. You're not going that fast. Alexandria gets cowboy up, you destroy race cars. I mean, it's
Yes.
totally different thing. So yeah, you're exactly right. So let's anything else on that? I mean, it's just unfortunate, but that's where we are. Parts just nothing's built to last anymore. And now I mean, I understand a little bit why racers don't want to race when the track's tacky, rough, and why they fight it so much because their cars are just not built for it anymore. And again, I mean, here's the deal. You don't have to have the lightest shit to win races. You simply do not have to have it. You got to have reasonably light stuff, right? But the fact is, you need stuff that lasts, stays true, suspension keeps pointed. I mean, we talked about it earlier. There's not many people in Wissota country and modifieds that destroyed more shit than Steve Arpin. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, he was fun to watch. He was exciting, sold a lot of t-shirts. I mean, he was entertainment at its best. But now he owns Longhorn and they sell cars the last 15 shows. And I get it because the tracks are bone dry and you have to have that in order to have traction. And it's just an unfortunate meld. I'd like to see maybe someday if we can get Arpin on the show and just kind of ask him about some of the good old days and compare it to today and how cars are built and just ask him how many nights do you think Steve Arpin would have lasted using today's race cars and parts the way tracks were back then, the way he drove back then, I think he'd go through a car every other night. I don't know. That's just my thoughts, and I love me some Steve Arpin. So let's jump in. So little drama in the sprint car world, guys. Little drama, but first let's have a shout out to our friends over at Daytona One Performance Lubricants. So Buck, he's a guy, he's probably enjoying this part of it because he's a proponent of we need to keep racing affordable and cheap and make stuff last longer. Well, guess what? That's what Daytona One products, that's what they do, right? In the lubricant industry, good lubricants give you good performance, but they also give you longevity, whether it's for gears or power steering or transmissions or engines or any type of greases or tire treatments or whatever. Their products are there and designed to not only get the performance you need to run at a high level and do things at a high level, but to make your stuff last longer, therefore keeping money in your pocket so you can allocate those funds elsewhere instead of completely rebuilding stuff all the time. And they're an industry best. They got some really good stuff. You're going to want to check them out. They got a Facebook page, Daytona One Performance Lubricants. They got a website as well, or you can call my friend Chad at 507-828-3536, and he's the regional rep. He's in Minnesota. He can tell you about all the different products that are out there that they have to offer. And do yourself, I mean, it's more than just the tire treatments that you hear about. There's a lot of great products that they have there. It's worth checking into what they have. Daytona One Performance Lubricants. So Bert, did you see some of the drama going on in the sprint car world?
No, I didn't.
Well, I'm going to start with Kyle Larson. I'm going to start there. So Knoxville a couple weeks back. Remember they had a practice night at Knoxville? And then the first night rained out and then they raced.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Kyle Larson goes out there with a little prototype deal in practice. So on asphalt sprint cars, right? The asphalt, the whatever USAC, Silver Crown, asphalt sprint cars, they tub the hole underneath the car. Is the hole underneath is all sealed up, and then so basically they use it, and then they have holes drilled a certain way. Basically, it's designed to suck the car right to the racetrack. It's an aero deal, right? Well, he had that on his car. He was testing it at Knoxville, and some drivers caught wind of it, and they're like, "What the hell is that? Right? What has he got going on here?" World of Outlaw officials come in, and they're like, "I don't think so, pal. No, take that shit off. You are not running that." Are they going to run that in the high limits? I mean, if he's testing it in World of Outlaws, are they going to run it in high limits? I don't know. Maybe, right? They're always trying to push the envelope. So trying to pull a fast one. But let me ask you this. Did you watch Kyle Larson last time he was racing? I want you to go back and I want you to watch the Knoxville. The last time Kyle Larson raced, which was this weekend, right? He won at Jackson. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to watch his left rear. Sparks, right? Sparks through the corners. Now, I talked to some sprint car drivers. They don't trail brake like freaking late models. Late models, you're trail braking, you're trying to keep the left rear loaded. The left rear in a sprint car sucked to the ground, right? Totally opposite deal. Why is this shit sparking through the center of the corner? That's kind of weird, right? There's some speculation going on. Of course, my sources are telling me this is from sources within the sprint car industry, okay? And they didn't want me to disclose names, but there's been traction control out there for a while now that is basically hooked to GPS, that's hooked to the brakes, and basically it's dragging the brakes, traction control, and they're like, if you don't think Kyle Larson's got traction control, you're out of your freaking mind. Okay. It's out there, right? We know it's out there. It's been out there. Could that be a thing? I don't know. But there's people in the sprint car world right now on competing teams that seem to think that's a thing. They also seem to think that's a thing with the guy that we're going to talk about next, okay? That we're going to talk about another guy. But man, now, did you hear about the teching ordeal in the high limits last year? The tech guy in the high limits was catching people cheating, certain people, specific people, right? And he was basically told, you need to let that shit go. And he had a whole long press release, and people are like, oh man, he's just causing problems. Well, my sources from within the from the some World of Outlaw teams, they told me different. They said, no, he caught some of these guys, and some of these guys are maybe a little bit connected to the series a little bit more than others. I'm not going to say any names. You can do your own speculation. That guy got relieved of his duty. So are they going to be taking this tub deal, running it in high limits whenever they want out these big shows? I mean, a lot of cheating going on out there. And, Kyle Larson's a hell of a race car driver, but I'm here to tell you there's some really good race car drivers in the sprint car world. For him to come in and just be that dominant, it's a little bit fishy. And then you start hearing some of this stuff and you're like, where there's smoke, there's fire. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on some of the tub stuff going on in the sprint car stuff. Now, we all like some drama on this show, right? So Jacob Allen, Bert, as you know, stepped back from driving duties of the Shark Racing 1A. He's now the crew chief, basically running the team, right? They swapped drivers here a couple weeks. Well, I guess last week would have been his first week. Remember the guy that flew out of the car at the Chili Bowl, right? Didn't know how to buckle his seatbelts, gets in a sprint car for the fourth time, goes out and wins at BAPS. Okay. Now, drivers over on the east side there, Danny Dietrich, he's like, it's one of the hardest places to drive. Apparently it's a tough track. I never been there, never whatever. But he said it's a slippery bitch and there's little grip on top. Ashton Torgerson rolls right through the middle of the track, drives by everybody like their shit's broke, drives off into the sunset. He's like, how the hell's that? How's he doing that? Well, so he comes out with this video, Bert, about the spoiler. Okay, you got the spoiler sides and you got the main part of the spoiler in the middle above the roof, right? Now back quite a few years back, they used to run dished spoilers and they changed the rule. They got to be flat now. Okay. Well, as you know, if you can get a little bit of a dish in it, it's going to push down, create more downforce. That's the theory. And they are doing some creative stuff underneath. So the rule, to be clear, this is per my sources that I talked to, the rule is when they measure when they put a straight edge on it, that part of the spoiler has to be flat. Okay? Has to be flat when the car's not moving. But it's built a really thin material. And if you do creative stuff underneath it, like maybe put springs underneath there or do different things, so when you're creating speed down the track, it'll suck in and create a dish effect, right? And they went bonkers about, oh man, he's cheating, he's got more downforce, and they're going back. Danny Dietrich does a Facebook Live on this deal. Jacob Allen comes out with a picture on his Facebook page, a picture of Jacob Allen holding a little baby with Danny Dietrich's face on it. Like, here's my little boy, Danny, right? And so they're going at it over this whole deal. And they're like, well, maybe he's got traction control. So everybody accusing everybody of cheating in this deal. And going to be fun to watch, right? Is it fishy that Ashton Torgerson just gets in the car first night out, makes him look stupid? A little bit fishy. He's never won a 410 race before, so that is interesting. There is something there, but let's just say that Schuhart and Jacob Allen were super pissed off about the live, and now they're going back and forth. A little bit of drama there. Changa, your thoughts? You saw what you watched that Facebook Live. What was your thoughts on this deal?
Well, I mean, Dietrich did a 45-minute long Facebook Live. There's so much information in it, and it was very entertaining. Some of it might be conjecture or bullshit. Some of it might be reality. There's so many things to report from that. I learned a lot from it, right? So the flat part on the top of your wing, it has a certain angle you're supposed to start with, yada, yada, yada. It's supposed to be perfectly square in, all of your major series, 4x4. Typically what they say is 16 thousandths thickness on the top layer of aluminum. Some of them have gone as thin as 12 thousandths, which when you get at speed, it does create a little bit of that dip, or what do we call it? Anyhow, you know what we're talking about, that little dip in it to create more downforce. But there are apparently, from what he claims, rules on the structure. So now the thickness of that that center portion, the flat portion on your wing, perpendicular to the roof, is supposed to be between 7 and 9.5 inches. Okay, now within that, you're supposed to have a structure that's 7 to 9.5 inches, the same thickness. So their accusations are they might have a 9.5, but they might have a 7 inch piece in the middle so that, you got all the rivets to make it look right. But now when the wind blows on it, it's got that extra 1.5 inches to really bend down further and create that bigger dip in the middle, giving you downforce straight in the middle of the car to create a whole bunch of more stability to the car. Then they also talked about bigger wicker bills in the rear of the wing, and I mean, there was just so much information in there, and it was going all over the place. But it was really interesting for a guy that I've never really learned that much depth about the construction of the wings, and you know um and then he went into how much do you tech these cars, right? And most of their tracks, the only thing they tech are to make sure you've got steel parts on the front of the car and that your front wing is within, isn't too far forward, and they don't tech anything. He talked about drilling a 1 inch hole in the wing and having like a borescope to go in there and look to make sure that you've got the proper internals in the wing. And so what? We drill a hole in it. We can put duct tape over it, or a 1 inch hole plug in it when we're done teching it, and that should be something that we're doing.
Yeah, and according to my source, he's like, to his best of his knowledge, that he doesn't think there's actually like a concrete rule on the structure, anything more than like how it's supposed to kind of be statically. But once it's moving, they're able to. Bert, would you believe racers are manipulating the rules? Would you believe that? That's just crazy. I never heard of such a thing. Who would have thunk it, right? And when somebody
Well,
wins, they're obviously cheating. That's just the way it is.
what's the saying? If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Right. Yeah. So keep an eye, right? I would expect there to be some kind of backlash, and I would expect there maybe to be some kind of a rule update on the wings or whatever, because when that kind of smoke comes out, usually that's when people react. And Nick Hoffman put a post out today. He's like, they're all whining about like diff wings or whatever. Well, he was doing that with his roof.
Yep.
So he was doing that with his roof at Volusia, and Dirt Car, who owns World of Outlaws, right? Or World Racing Group owns World of Outlaws and Dirt Car, I should say. They put a kibosh to that, and they changed the rules in the modified specifically because of Nick Hoffman. I would assume that if they did that for the modifieds, World Racing Group, they might be having discussions about that now for World of Outlaw sprint cars as well. So it wouldn't surprise me. Speaking of World of Outlaw sprint cars, of course, Kyle Larson, Sheldon Hodenchild, your winners this weekend, Jacksonville and Hobstadt. Donnie Schatz, guys, struggle bus, 12th and 10th this week. Just not getting it together. I mean, he's going to a track though that if he's going to be fast anywhere this weekend at Eldora, might be maybe one of the guys to beat over there. So late models. Let's get into a little late model. Anything else you guys got on sprint cars? We move on to some late model stuff here. So before we get into the late models, quick shout out to our friend Brad Parsons Soil and Egg Solution. So obviously planting season here, right? Getting the crops in the ground. If you're in Western Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and you're farming, right? Small farm, big farm, anything in between. And I get it, right? Everybody's a creature of habit. You probably already got your spray packages set. The people you buy your stuff from, probably already got that. Why not entertain a phone call though to learn about the products he has? He's got the data points out there, and what do you want? You want higher yields? Higher yields puts more money in your pocket. Putting the right stuff in your spray package, the right chemicals. I mean, Bert knows he's an old go-kart guy, right? Putting those right chemicals on the tires probably made his cheating ass faster. So putting the right chemicals in the spray packages here probably helps you make more money, right? So Brad Parsons the guy to give a call to, and his number 320-219-3542. 320-219-3542. Hey, if you're out on your farm equipment, if you're driving down the road, give him a call. He'd be happy to talk to you. He can get you the information. He can email you some data. He can send you what you need. He'll go visit with you. Give him a call, learn about the products he has, see if it can help you in your farming endeavors. So let's jump into some late model action. Not a lot, but we're going to touch a little bit on it. So let's start. We'll leave the most racing for last. So let's go World of Outlaws first, because they only had one race. They had the Alabama Gang 100. Night 1 rained out. Night 2 got in. 250 lap A main. Well, it felt like it. It was only 100, but only 100. Bert's like thinking it should be at least 150, right? God, 100 lap features suck. I mean, that race would have been so much better for just 50, but whatever. 40 to me is perfect. But Bobby Pierce getting it done. Local guy, Zach Mitchell, strong. Bert Chongo was arguing with me because his boyfriend, Bobby Pierce, can't do any wrong. I think Zach Mitchell was as fast or faster than Bobby Pierce. Bobby Pierce just better, and he's Bobby Pierce. But I think Zach Mitchell, if the right situation happened in lap traffic, I think he might have had an opportunity to win that deal. Zach Mitchell running pretty strong. He got second. Jimmy Owens with a nice run. He got third. And then was it Jaden Frame? Is that who got fourth? Local guy down there?
Jordan, yeah, he got fourth.
Yeah, and then Mike Marlar got fifth, Corey Hedgecock sixth. So anything stick out to you guys other than the more things change, the more things stay the same? Bobby Pierce still absolutely dominant in World of Outlaws. Anything stick out to either one of you guys on that race?
Well, not necessarily just that race, but kind of that race. But I mean, where are the other World of Outlaw regulars? I mean, I was doing my picks today, and I was doing looking around, and I'm thinking, Nick Hoffman. You never hear his name anymore. He's got to be having a horrible season. He's second in points.
100% right.
I'm here to tell you that it's Bobby Pierce, right? You just go ahead, write him the check. The only way he's going to lose is if they say he's doping tires, right? That's the only way. That's it. If he literally just takes the rest of the year off, I don't see how anybody can even stay on the same stratosphere as Bobby Pierce in the World of Outlaw points. I just unless he goes through a whole bunch of bad luck, blowing motors and lap cars spinning out and taking them out and shit like that, it's going to take all of that to happen. But I mean, he is so much better than everybody else in the World of Outlaws right now that it's just not close.
No, I would agree. Because like I said, I was surprised to see Nick Hoffman second in points because he hasn't done anything yet this year. I mean, Gustin has won some races. He's third in points, but you know, Lucas definitely has the upper echelon of talent in the dirt late model world.
Yeah, it's not close. I mean, the if you take the top, and let's do that as soon as we get done talking about the Lucas. We can do that first. If you had to rank them, right? Just quick off the top of your head, top 5, top 7 guys in late model racing right now.
Who's going first?
Well, I mean,
Bert,
obviously, obviously Bobby Pierce.
It's Bobby Pierce, Ricky Thornton Jr., Devin Moran, Jonathan Davenport, Garrett Elberson. After that, throw them all in a bucket and shake them up.
Yeah, after that, I would say that you could maybe put Huddy Overton all together. But four of the 5 you mentioned right there, Lucas guys, right? I mean, 4 of the 5. You got, and it's really close. You could put RTJ 1, you could put Pierce 1. Them two are 1A, 1B, right? Moran's been good. Garrett Alberson might be 3. I mean, he is been really good. I mean, Garrett Alberson, we'll talk about Lucas now. Garrett Alberson got 3rd, 2nd, and 4th. So he got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the weekend. I mean, RTJ got a 1st, 2 seconds, right? I mean, or let me rephrase that. A 2nd and 2 firsts. My bad. Sorry, I got that wrong. So he's the best car. Moran was good. He won night 1. So they were at Georgetown, Hagerstown, Port Royal. Moran won night one. RTJ won the next 2 nights. But I mean, it's not even close. I mean, RTJ just consistently the top guy in that series. And when you put him and Pierce side by side, that is clearly entertaining. We're going to see that next week, not this week, but next week we'll see that. Yeah, at the Illinois Speed Weeks. I'm jacked up for that. That's gonna be
Yeah, me
some
too.
good shit. That's gonna be really, really good. But anything's I mean, of course the top local guy, Greg Satterley, he had a pair of top fives. I mean, he as expected, but not entertaining. Bert, I know I mean, I don't want to say you're a half mile guy. You're
no. I agree with you 100%. I mean,
but your home track, you know, and we don't want to dog Shawano, but your home track's a half mile.
But I'm in favor of shortening the track.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a traditionalist, but I'm in favor of shortening Shawano Speedway. Like there have been some discussions on doing that, because it's just better quality racing on a shorter track. It just is.
Yeah, I agree. Bert kind of paused there a little bit. It's maybe got a text or something. But yeah, no, you're right. I agree. The shorter tracks are definitely more entertaining. But let me ask you this, right? In defense of half mile tracks, they have to be better in person than they are watching online. Like
Well,
watching a half mile, like watching Port Royal Hagerstown streamed, it's like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like this ain't even watchable shit. In person, it's definitely better, right?
well, in person you
For
can
sure.
you at least you get the sense of the speed at least. But
Right.
when you watch it on TV or through the streaming, you lose that sensation of speed because you're just you're watching cars. It's like watching you know Daytona in NASCAR. I mean, on TV, it's just cars going around, but if you're there in person, you really understand how fast they're going.
And that really goes for any size of track, right? I mean, I watch most of the racing online now because of what I do for a living, but being at the track is always better. But like the half mile stuff, I literally I looked at the schedule and I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. Like I'm not. Like I'm gonna go play golf and I'm just not interested. I'm not watching it. Changa, I know you watched all 3 nights of Lucas, but it was crazy to me. So you guys both watched both nights or all 3 nights. Anything major stick
I
out or
didn't.
was it go ahead,
I
Bert?
was just gonna say I didn't watch the first night, but I watched the last two
Okay.
nights.
And the first night Moran was good, but he almost lost at the end because he hit a tire. What did he hit?
Well, and that's exactly it. And it goes back to a conversation we had earlier, right? Devin Moran's the class of the field. He's the dominant race car. He goes into the corner, hits a hole, probably towed the car in, and it was a battle from there. He had like a 3.5 second lead, and RTJ just closes in, and thank God that race got over when it did, or he'd have lost, and RTJ would have swept the whole freaking weekend. I mean, and he was there. I mean, he lost by half a car. I mean, and that was one race where RTJ wasn't the best guy. I mean, Moran had him covered that night. Elverson had quite honestly, at Hagerstown, Elverson had a car that was capable of winning if he was perfect. He made one mistake and it gave RTJ the lead or a chance to get the lead, got hit, drew him in, got him to a position where he could take the lead from him, and that was it. I mean, if Elverson was perfect, he could have won that race, but he wasn't. He made one mistake.
And with RTJ and Pierce both, when they're not racing against each other, right? When they're separate deals, it looks effortless. I mean, they just look to me like they're so much faster. Like you said, Moran had the best car night one, but consistently, I mean, we talked about Sheppy a couple weeks ago, right? First, 12th, 18th, right? 4th, he's all over the map. These two guys, they got a bad night. It's like, holy shit, rough night. What did you get? Second? Not very good. Kind of off night. What? Like your bad night is still a podium, right? And some of these guys are hit and miss. Now, I will say this: if you take those two out of the equation, Garrett Albertson is must-see TV. Watching him just progressively get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And Changa, you mentioned that you kind of watched, he had his victory or his interview, his top 5 interview there, and you were pretty impressed with what Garrett Albertson had to say.
And it wasn't even the top 5 interview. It was an interview in like Flow Racing did, or one of these publications did, and they were talking to him about what separates the top 3 in Lucas Oil, and that's RTJ Moran and Davenport from him. And he had such a well thought out. I mean, he studied this. He's like RTJ's car has more traction than anybody in the country, and Davenport's car turns better than anybody in the country. And Devin is kind of a combination of both. It's got traction, it's not as much as Thornton, and it turns, but not as well as Davenport's, but he's the happy medium. And he's like, I just don't know which way to go with it, right? I mean, it's like, God, what? And it was well thought out, and but he was confused, right? Like, hey, I don't know which way to go because they're all so good. Do I need to make my car turn a little bit better? I mean, watching him, I feel like he's more comparable to Devin Moran. He's kind of more of a neutral car. He lacks a little bit of the drive to RTJ, and it doesn't steer as good as Davenport, but boy, he's right there. And let's be honest. I mean, them guys are probably just a little bit more experienced and a little bit better than he is. And his shit's probably just as good as as good as theirs. But he's just, he's gaining experience week by week, and he's coming. And he moved his way up to 4th, and in that Lucas Oil point standings, which kind of leads me to my next question for you guys, Bert and Ryan. Okay, so 13 straight races have been won by that Lucas Oil top 3. The last guy to beat them was Tyler Bruning, right at the opener. Who will be the next driver to win a Lucas Oil race that's not one of them top 3?
Bobby Pierce. This week.
No, because he's not going to. No, I'm talking a Lucas Oil race. Who's going to win? Bobby Pierce is racing a World Outlaw race this week.
This coming week. The
Okay.
Illinois Speed Weeks.
All right. Bert, what do you got?
I don't know. I guess I'll go Overton, but Overton is just maybe. I mean, we kind of ripped on Bishop driving the Longhorn house car. Maybe you don't want to be in the house car. Maybe that's not such a good ride after all.
So
they have all kinds of horse shit luck in that.
Here's my question: at Illinois Speed Week, is that not Castro stuff?
2 or 3 of them are, and I think 3 of them are Castrol, 2 are Lucas Oil. They're not all Castrol.
So I would say, there is a wild card in there, and it could be Florence Josh Rice, right?
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
it could be Josh Florence, but I think the right answer is sometime when Bobby Pierce is at a Lucas race is probably the right answer.
Yeah, Pierce he's got to be the odds-on favorite now. If it's so, here I'll throw a question back. So who's gonna win the next? Who's gonna be the next guy to win a Lucas race when they're split, right? So when the World of Outlaws are running, Pierce is at World of Outlaw. Take Rice out of the equation because you just said that one. Now it looks like it could be maybe Overton, maybe Garrett Albertson, Huddy.
I'm 100% going Huddy. There will be a high side track that Huddy will win. That's my hope, at least.
So if we take these 3 drivers, Huddy, Albertson, and then Brandon Overton. So you say Overton.
You got to throw Shep in there. If they're going to Illinois, throw Shep in there.
throw Shep in there, but I'm saying on the tracks where they're separated, I want it to be Alberson. Like I'm kind of turning into a Garrett Alberson
Dalton
fan.
Wilson could be a guy too, right?
He could be, but Garrett Alberson seems like he's in the top 5 every single night. Sheppy is a guy that's like second, third, 82nd, right?
Yep,
Garrett Alberson's like top 5, consistent. His shit also doesn't seem to fall apart.
Right.
Hopefully I don't jinx him, but
a clean, smooth driver. He reminds you of like a Moran.
yeah. So that's a good question there. So I guess fans put in the comment, who do you think it's going to be? I mean, on a race where they're all together, Pierce got to be the odds-on favorite. But you take a race where they're apart. What do you think? Alberson, Huddy, Sheppy, Overton? I mean, it could be any number of drivers. Who does everybody else think? Let us know. Here's a question for you guys. I don't know if I didn't see anything online, and I don't even know if he's single. Is Turbo? He's not married, right? Turbo's not married.
He's got a girlfriend, I believe.
Does he
What's
have
his
another
name?
one? Changa, I think Changa. Does he have another girlfriend in the Northeast by chance? Because I remember Turbo saying, "I'm racing the fun tour,"
Yeah.
and he's a bull ring guy.
Overtake.
And how the hell does Georgetown, Hagerstown, and Port Royal end up on Turbo's fun tour? How is that a thing? I'm like, am I missing something here? Like rumor has it that there's certain race car drivers that are like, well, my track rained out. I know there's a chick over this way that I might be able to see tonight. I'm going to go that way. Is that what he was doing there? I'm not really sure.
No.
He's got a girlfriend, so probably not. Maybe he's got a sponsor up there. I'm not really sure. But yeah, Changa said he's dating Brandon Overton. He likes to go where he is.
They're just buddies.
I am, Bert, you got to be honest. I mean, is it surprising that he went to the Northeast to them 3 half-mile tracks versus going to Talladega? He would have been better at Talladega.
But he has more opportunities to race up in the Northeast if you know, if he's trying to make the travel more worthwhile, you have more opportunities to race up there than with the World of Outlaws.
Yeah,
in Talladega.
50,000 to win at Dega though, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the other way to look at it too is,
I thought he was going to go to cars races.
yeah, you did predict that. Good call on that one. I mean, Eldora's got a lot of big races, right? They got the Dream, they got the World, they got the Dirt Track World Championship. So I guess it makes sense too. If you're going to race those 3 races, you probably should sharpen your pencil at some of these half-mile tracks to get better to when Eldora comes around. So maybe that had something to factor into it as well. Did you guys happen to see? I know you're big 604 late model followers, both you guys. Did you happen to see who finished 5th at Natural Bridge Raceway in Natural Bridge, Virginia, at this past weekend's race in the 604? Bert, did you happen to see?
I did not. I did not see that until you put it in the notes.
Changa. He's got to be related, right? Because Dad Dale Earnhardt, Wyatt Miller Earnhardt,
like nephew or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So 13-year-old Wyatt Miller Earnhardt. So any old Dale Earnhardt fans out there, right? Kelly Earnhardt would be Dale's daughter, right? That's how that would. So Dale's daughter Kelly. I think that's correct.
Dale Jr.'s sister.
Yeah, Dale Jr.'s sister. So the 13-year-old, so that would have been Dad's grandkid. First run, 20 cars were in the field, by the way. 20 cars in that field. Don't know much about it, what kind of chassis, whatever, but 5th place finish.
Was the Longhorn house car.
Was it?
It's the Longhorn house car, yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thanks for sharing that. So the Longhorn crate house car, he went out there, got a top 5 finish. So kind of cool. So if you look at my race pass, it says Wyatt Miller. I guess technically, that's Dad's name, right? So that's his last name.
Yes.
Us traditionalists, right? We want to see Earnhardt, right? But out of respect to the family, it's Wyatt Miller. So Wyatt Miller Earnhardt the next Earnhardt family member, top 5 finish debut in the late model, kind of a cool deal. Another thing there in the sprint car, we were talking, I forgot to mention this. So Rod Lindquist, friend of the show here, former executive director of WISSOTA, reached out and we kind of chat back and forth once in a while. He's helping this 14-year-old kid from Sioux Falls, Brogan Carter. And I said, man, he nice rebound, right? Fire, guys, is one of the scariest shit in all of racing. And I don't think there's a close second. In fact, our buddy Sparky from Alexandria, we talked about Dennis Jones last week. He says, man, Rick Eyes over in Fergus Falls, wall opening, same thing. He got clipped, car started on fire. Dennis Jones pulled him out of that one. So he remembered being there at that one. Well, this 14-year-old kid, a fitting came loose, right? And he got fuel inside the car, started on fire. It got so hot that the fire system in there, it actually melted the sensor, and he got second-degree burns a couple weeks back down at Tulsa. Went to the hospital, but kids are fearless, right? Bounced back in the car very next week, got back in the car, got himself a top 10 finish. So good to see the kid get back in the saddle again at North Platte. Keep an eye on Brogan Carter. So thanks, Rod, for giving us that info. So really quick here, we're not going to get too much into the weeds on this, but we talked about a lot of drivers. We're going to bring back, because we're getting into the thick of things, where April's in the books, May's coming here over the month of April. A really quick who's hot, a really quick who's not. Bert, you go first.
Well, you guys kind of stole my thunder, but my too hot driver was going to be Garrett Alberson. He didn't get into victory lane, but I mean, he was in contention all 3 races, and against that group of Lucas drivers, very impressive.
And parameters on this, kind of what we talked about too, is we're going to try to stay away from the guys that are winning a bunch of races, because it's kind of obvious that are hot, and we've probably already talked about them 3 times in the show, right? So we're going to kind of try to lean, moving forward, we're going to try to lean a little bit more to people that are on the verge of wins, that are there, that have been running consistently good, maybe not winning. And I'm going to try to kind of keep it a little bit more local, kind of give a shout out to some of the WISSOTA guys. Changa, who do you got maybe on a who's hot?
He stole both of our thunder on that, so I don't even know where to go. I don't even know where to go after that. Maybe I'd go to Joey Jensen. He's got a couple of B-Mod wins and a super stock win early on in this season. So definitely hot. We don't even know if he keeps doing good in the super stock. Maybe he tries to chase points in the super stock.
Yeah, no kidding. He might run for both. A guy I want to kind of keep an eye on, this guy. Modified driver. I actually took him when we did our 24 car field. He's been consistently running up front, on the verge of some wins. He's right there. Keep an eye on JT Johnson. That's a guy right there that has been consistently in the hunt. Last year, he was extremely fast. I expect to see him steal some wins in central Minnesota in the WISSOTA mod. Bert, who's not?
I kind of touched on it earlier. I'm going to go with Brendan Overton. Just had really bad luck. I mean, it seems like he has a flat tire almost every race that he is in.
Or engine issues.
Yeah.
What do you say, Changa? He had 6 nights of engine issues already?
He's had 6 engine issues. So now this weekend, I think he led one of the races before having an engine issue, not necessarily a blow up or a failure, but an engine issue that made him fall back. But I think I read that he had 6 engine related issues this year to go along with all the right rear flat tires he's had. So that was Bert sniped me on both of them. I'm not even kidding. You can't even make that stuff up. But so I'm going to go with someone else. I'll just throw this out there. 2nd place in World of Outlaw late model standings, Nick Hoffman. Where have you been? You haven't even been in contention for a win. Not even in contention for a win. And we haven't even gotten to Bobby Pierce's strong tracks yet. I mean, his weakness is kind of the Southeast, right? And he's winning at them places. You're in big trouble if you can't beat him down there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I'm gonna go Blake Adams in the Midwest Mod, right? And he's been quick. He's been there, but engine issues one night, bent a valve, broke leading, bent a trailing arm. So there's no way that you could have told me that at the end of April, Blake Adams going to have 3 wins in the A mod, 0 wins in the Wissota Midwest mod. There's just no way. I would not have believed that. You could very well put him hot in the A mod, not hot in the B mod.
Absolutely.
Dexton Cook, not that he's been slow, winless though, right? And if you want to win another natty, you want to go back to back, you got to start stacking some feature wins. And I get it, we're only a couple weeks in, right? But he's on the verge, but the rookie drove away from him. Tommy Bowden gapped him. He drove off into the sunset, right? So gonna have to find a little bit of speed in that 78K in the national scene. I got to go Donnie Schatz. We want Donnie Schatz to be fast, and we thought maybe a couple weeks ago he had things turned around. Struggled this past weekend. Eldora this weekend. We'll see what happens. Pick'em standings. So this past week, got to give a shout out. So Bert, remember I said a couple weeks ago, boy, I only put a tardy in the frickin' pick'em so that way I had somebody to beat, right? Remember I said that? JR had frickin' 17 points this week. The next closest, Bert, were you and I. We had plus 14. He kicked the shit out of all of us. I guess he proved us wrong. I didn't see that coming. I figured he was going to be kind of like a bye week in fantasy football. But yeah, he kind of came back swinging and actually moved up the rankings past MBD. But Coach at 175. We got Changa with an asterisk at 164. With an asterisk. So Bert, get this. So he sends don't quit talking. So he sends me his picks, right? Sends them to me. Texts him. He texts me his picks. It says RTJ Huddy, RTJ Huddy, RTJ Huddy. So I put the spreadsheet together. I enter in all the names. I even posted on Facebook this week for the whole world to see, hey, here's our picks. Here's our point standings. And literally he comes back. He's like, well, can I have Moran? Well, just because. So we had a conversation the night before, Bert, and he said, well, I want to have RTJ. Our conversation, not his texted in, was I'm going to take RTJ and Moran. And I said, I'm also taking RTJ and Moran all 3 nights. Well, then is it unlike somebody to be like, I'm going to do this, but then he sends in the picks and decides to change them? Well, that's what he did, right? He sends in, he said the night before he's taking Moran, he takes Huddy. Well, then now in his defense, the races didn't start yet, but I had already posted everything, right? Well, I felt bad, right? And I'm like, all right, fine. You can have Moran. So he gained 2 points on that. And so, Bert, you and I, all of us, we literally have 2 points in the bank for that asterisk. So we'll give him it, right? But it's 164 with a little asterisk by it.
See, Jeff would have never allowed that.
No, he runs a tight ship.
Yeah, because Jeff, he slapped me down a couple of times with stuff like that.
Jeff's a stand-up guy.
Okay, so let me just let me speak my part on this.
Give an inch, you take a mile. Next thing you know, he's going to be sending in corrections after the races are done. Well, I didn't watch it. I didn't know that Pierce won. I didn't know. Okay.
So no, I 100%, him and I went over our picks on the phone. I says, all right, after I get off the phone, I'll send in the picks. And I just fucked up. I just fucked up.
So in the court of law, Bert, is that a viable thing? I mean, if you send in your data,
I'd already told him.
I'm just saying. All right. Well, I gave you the points.
They always say ignorance is not a defense.
I'm just saying. I agree.
Anybody other than you can pretty much book it for the rest of the year. It's going to be RTJ and Moran every fucking race, maybe a JD once in a while.
Okay, so are you basically saying right now that every Lucas race moving forward, RTJ, Moran, or JD?
Pretty much.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
let you
Because
know if it
I'm gonna
changes.
hold you to that because there's a
I
lot of
will
races
let you
where they
know if
get her.
that changes.
I'm gonna take Pierce
If
at some of them.
Pierce is there,
Oh, now you
if
change.
Pierce is
Okay,
there, then
I
I'll
get it.
change it because
And
he's God, and I would pick God over Jesus.
and I actually picked Garrett Elberson for one of the races this past week.
You
Not the
did.
right one, no, but
Right. So Chonga's at 164. I'm at 163, one back. Curtis at 157. Bert at 156 in the top five striking distance. Josh at 155. Dano at 154. So it's tight through the middle. We got Worker B at 149. Uper 145. JR with the biggest week at 132. He passed up Man Bun Dan at 129. Bromance and Beefcake rounding out the field. This week, guys, we are picking we're not going to go over our picks. I'll post all of our picks up on the Facebook page, even Chonga's adjusted ones or whatever we're going to do there.
I'll try and do
But
it right this time.
so high limit sprint cars doubleheader, Texas Motor Speedway. I've been there. Kind of a cool place, super lit up. They got a tunnel that goes underneath the track. My daughter, believe this or not, may have had a meltdown, yelled at a driver there after giving me a flat tire. Quite an incident. Fun place. So
Weird.
Texas Motor Speedway, high limits. Dairyland Showdown, excited for that one. Mississippi Thunder Speedway, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. USRA mods and late models. Lucas Oil late models at Circle City, and then the Ralph Latham Memorial at Florence. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars at Eldora for a pair of races. Hunt the Front late models at Livonia and at Cherokee. That's Friday, Saturday. And there's a lot of Wissota racing. We did, if there's not a special in the Wissota area, we're randomly picking a race of the week. We pick Rice Lake this weekend. So we're going to pick the mods, supers, Midwest mods, and street stocks at the old Rice Paddy. So
and
we'll,
and the Kentucky Derby.
and the Kentucky Derby and some
You
dog
really fucking
racing.
picking the Kentucky Derby.
No, we're not picking the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, I have my pick.
Nice.
I'll take where the favorite is.
So we'll what are you guys looking forward to? I mean, just one race, what are you looking forward to? Anything specifically most, whether it's something we're picking or something that just in general?
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to Shawano Speedway's opener. That's the track I've gone to my entire life. So opening night is always something special. Although it's going to be kind of a bummer because I do believe Plymouth, it's their first week of the Super 6 series for late models this weekend. So I don't think the late model count will be down at Shawano Speedway because of that.
Should still be good. Stock car
Yeah.
races put on a really good show there for sure. Changa, how about you? Anything special that you're looking forward to this week?
It's the Dairyland Showdown.
Yeah, Mississippi Thunder's awesome. I mean, Bob, Tim, Tyrone, and the gang down there have done an outstanding job with that place, and they continue to. So, with whether it's mod racing or late model racing, it's going to be really, really good down there at in Fountain City, Wisconsin. National scene, Florence is always highly entertaining. The Ralph Latham should be good, but I'm actually going to go to Hashtag Falls for their opener Saturday night, and the 83 ride going to run down there this weekend, and going to go help him see if we can get the one to go show 83 in Victory Lane. Dave Dulciak, keep an eye on him. I think it's going to be on Flow, but yeah, Saturday night, Fairbury, Illinois. Looking forward to that. So bold predictions. Every week we make 3 predictions, racing related, sometimes show related. Keep track of the ones we got right and our percentage right. And as far as statistics go right now, Changa, you are leading the way in both. You have 5 correct. Uper has 3. Bert and I are on the board with 1. You're at 41.6% correct. Uper's at 27.3. I'm at 20%. I got 1 out of 5 correct. Bert has 1 out of 7 correct. He's at 14.3. We all have several on the board. I'm in the habit of pushing a bunch of them way down the road. So, ones that came off the board this past week, Bert, you said that Shawano would not race until May. Well, That is correct. You got that one right. No races in April. You also said that Mighty Mike Mullen would finish on the podium at the Dirt Kings opener. He got 5th.
Yeah, and
So
you guys said it was a bunt.
I figured for
I
sure
said
it was
winning.
I did say it was a bunt. I figured for
So
sure
did
you
I.
would. You said Greg Satterley would average a top 5 finish.
He did. In the features he raced in.
I was yeah, that's an interesting one. So technicality there maybe, but night 1 he didn't make the show, so that kind of
No,
messed things up.
he
And then he
had
got fourth and a fifth.
he had mechanical problems the first night, so
Yeah, you probably would have been spot on because I would say pretty good odds. All he would have had to do is finish like 15th or whatever, and he would have been in that, but almost, but not quite close enough. I said that Buddy Kofoid would have a pair of podiums, and I don't think he finished on the podium either night. Actually, this weekend, he's really up and down, ain't he? Like he can run really good, and then he's kind of like that Bishop deal, top 3, 12th. There's no in between. Uper had well, we'll go to Chonga next. Chonga had a couple come off the board here. 3 of them to be exact. You said Huddy would finish top 5 in all 3 races. 5th, 8th, and 9th. He did not. Top 10 all 3, but not top 5. Mars late model, you said Turbo would win both of them, and Uper put a special note. He said, "Nice pick, dumbass. Nice prediction, dumbass." He was not there. He was not there.
Incidentally, I made that to try to provoke other people into picking him.
Right, and it did not work. And then you said that World of Outlaw series non-regulars in the late models would make up at least 50% of the podium finishes at Talladega, and that did happen. Zach Mitchell, Jimmy Owens, 2nd and 3rd, so 66%. So you got that one right. Uper had 3 come off the board. He said the Ironman, Shane Sabraski, would win 33% or more of his features this past weekend. Shane's kind of a shitter, only 25%. Terrible, right? Terrible. 2 of 8. He just keeps stacking wins. It is what it is. He's at like 950 some, so he'll hit 1,000 this year, I would have to say. He said that opposite of a bunt. Bobby Pierce would have no podiums at Talladega. I don't know if he's drunk Tex. I'm not really sure. Like it's kind of like I'm not sure what he's like
thinking.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he's thinking there. Yeah. So that was wrong. And then he said, so when he told me this prediction, he said RTJ, here's how he had it worded. RTJ would be the only driver to podium all 3 races. And he marked it wrong. And I'm like, RTJ is the only guy to podium all 3 races. And he come back because he's not like Chonga trying to get free points here. He's a stand-up guy. And he said, in the spirit of things, that's not what I meant. I meant that he was the only guy that was going to get multiple podiums. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what you said. Technically, you got it right. He goes, no, that's not what I meant. Just to be ethical here, I meant that he'd be the only one with multiple podiums. So he took a no on that. He took a wrong. So you got Chonga over here trying to get free points in the pick'ems. You got Uper who clearly got it right, and he's like, "Well, no, I'm taking it wrong. I'm taking it on the chin."
Wait a minute. Who got more?
And Bert, this goes back to when they were pitting for me, right? So Chonga would give me signals. He'd be up, down, all that. Give me the wrong signal. I'd lose a race, and it just is what it is, right? It just is what it is. Uper, on the other hand, may have forgot to tighten the drain plug in the gears, right? May have ruined a set of rear end gears, but he bought me McDonald's. See, he's a man of ethics. He likes to be a stand-up guy. And I'm just saying.
Time out. How many freaking races did I win you with signals?
Well, Mike Belfi said that you won me a lot with signals.
Right.
I would probably agree with that analysis. Yeah, I probably won quite a few as a
Let
result
me ask you this,
of that.
so where you were going with that, because I don't know why Jeff took the loss on that either. Did someone else have multiple podiums?
Nobody else had multiple podiums. So he
So when you
technically
get
would have had it right, but he goes, that's not what I meant. I meant he was the only one that was going to get, the only guy that was going to get multiple podiums.
And
And
was he?
Garrett Albertson got 2.
Oh,
Yeah, Garrett Albertson got 2 podiums. So yeah, I guess
I mean,
it is
I'd have
what it
been
is.
looking at that point based on the verbiage.
Right. It is what it is. I even tried to talk him into. He's like, nope, I got it wrong. I'm like, all that snow up there in the UP. There's still snow up there in the UP, so it's probably getting to him. He doesn't think very clearly. I mean, we're talking about a guy that says Bobby Pierce ain't going to finish in the top 3 at Talladega. Yeah, it's like, what are we talking about? So let's make 3 laps around the track to close this baby out. So I'm gonna have to probably jump on to, because he just texted me his predictions here. So I'm gonna probably take a look at him here. So Bert, you go first, and then Changa, and then I have Upers, and then I have my own. So go ahead, Bert.
All right, I'm gonna start with high limit, and I'm gonna say Thursday night's race. Two NASCAR regulars will finish on the podium.
2 NASCAR regulars on the podium at the Thursday night high limit race. Okay, sounds good. There's going to be 3 in attendance, right? Christopher Bell, Corey Day, and Kyle Larson.
Nice.
Well, I know Bell and Larson are.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Corey Day. Somebody said Corey Day too, but I'm not positive. All right, so 2, at least 2 on the podium.
At least 2.
All right, so Changa.
Well, I'll go back to the conversation we had earlier, and I'm going to say Bobby Pierce will be the next guy to win a Lucas Oil race that is not named Ricky Thornton Jr., Devin Moran, or Jonathan Davenport.
Bobby Pierce will be the next guy to win a Lucas Oil race not named Devin Moran, RTJ, or Jonathan Davenport.
Yep.
Okay, so Bobby Pierce. All right. I have Uper's first prediction here. Bobby Pierce podiums all 3 night, every night they raced, so in case there's a rainout. So every night Bobby Pierce podiums every night they race this week at Mississippi Thunder with at least 1 win.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, that's not a bunt. That's not. He did not win there last year, though.
No, I know, but it's weird. He would usually say he would never win.
Right. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to stick with our Lucas Oil deal that we're talking about here, and I'm going to take the Lucas Oil races. Actually, I'm just going to take out of these drivers, out of Garrett Albertson, Hudson O'Neal, Brandon Overton. Actually, let me just put it this way. Out of all of the Lucas Oil points chasing contenders, everybody that's following the series, right? Except for the top 3 guys, right? Yep. The next one to win is going to be Garrett Albertson.
Okay.
Yep. Garrett Albertson, the next Lucas Oil regular to win a race. That doesn't mean he's going to be the next guy. It could be Pierce, but the next Lucas Oil regular to win a race that's not in the top 3 is Albertson. All right, Bert, number 2, what do you got?
I'm going to go Shawano Speedway and say there will be at least 10 late models in attendance Saturday night, even though that there's a race in Plymouth.
Okay. At least 10 late models at Shawano this weekend, racing against Plymouth. Hope you're right. I hope you're right. All right, Uper's second prediction.
Thought I went second.
Oh, that's right. You're leading. I'm trying to cut you out of this shit.
I know, right?
What do you got?
I'm going to go to Hunt the Front. I'm going to say the 2 races this weekend, okay? Zach Mitchell wins at least 1 and podiums the other. If only 1 happens, he will win the one that happens.
Zach Mitchell will win at least one. Is that what you said?
He will win at least one, and if both happen, he will have a win and a podium in the other one.
Okay. Okay. Zach Mitchell's been tough. He's been good. All right. So Uper's second prediction. The Iron Man Shane Zabrowski. Boy, he's kind of backing off of last week. He's looking at his bad week. Holy shit, does he have some bunts here? Huh. Shane Zabrowski wins 25% or more of races run this week and weekend. So it looks like he's going to race Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Because Princeton races Thursday. So Shane
Yep.
Zabrowski, 25% or more of races that he enters, he will win.
Okay. That's
Okay.
kind of a bunt, but everybody deserves a bunt once in a while.
Right, right. Dairyland Showdown. Minnesota sweeps the wins in the USRA modifieds. Minnesota drivers sweep the wins in the USRA modifieds at the Dairyland Showdown.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bert, white flag out, last lap. What do you got?
I'm going to go Eastern Wisconsin late model racing. There's 3 shows of late model racing this weekend. Friday night at Outagamie, Saturday at Shawano, Saturday at Plymouth. I will say that there will be 3 different winners in those 3 shows.
3 different winners in those 3 shows.
3
Okay.
different tracks. How would there not be 3 different winners?
What's that?
Well, because Friday, one of them races Friday, so the Friday track will get the drivers from the Saturday and Sunday races, right? Is that kind of how that works?
Right.
Yeah. So essentially,
Yeah.
obviously Saturday will have different winners, but basically the driver that wins Friday is not going to win on Saturday.
Win Saturday at either track.
Yep. Okay. All right, Changa.
So I'm gonna go hunt the front, or I'm sorry. Let me just think about this. Let's go high limits. So we already got one canceled, right? So we got 2 more races.
Yep.
I'm gonna go 5 different podium drivers.
5 different podium drivers in the high limits in the 2 nights at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yes.
That is a bunt because the NASCAR guys aren't racing on Saturday, it doesn't sound like.
You can call it a bunt, but hey, everybody else has a bunt, right?
Fair enough. All right. Uper's got one. He's going to be specific on this one. So the Hibbing Speedway now, operated by Barry Braun and XR, they have pushed back their season opener to May 24th. And Uper says Hibbing Speedway will open on May 24th. That will be their opener. They will, no rain, no pushback. May 24th. It is what it is. They're opening. Okay, so I'm going to go with a little parlay here. Winners at the Dairyland Showdown will include, but not limited to, these drivers: Bobby Pierce, Dustin Sorensen, Brandon Davis. Those 3 drivers will win races this weekend at the Dairyland Showdown.
Dustin Sorensen running 2 classes, I'm guessing.
I would assume so. I have not confirmed that, but I would assume so.
What can you tell me about Jim Chisholm? Is he running a mod this weekend?
I have not confirmed Jim Chisholm. I did confirm Joe Chisholm, but I did not confirm Jim Chisholm. And my bold prediction said what? My bold prediction said it's a Minnesota sweep, baby. So it's going to be the
Where do
Brandon
the,
Davis,
the
Dustin
Chisholms
Sorensen
live?
show. Huh?
Where do the Chisholms live?
Osage, Iowa.
Osage, Iowa.
Osage. Right down the street from Fertile, Iowa, where Kelly Shryock lives, actually. They're just a couple miles away.
Where
So,
does Brandon Davis live?
boy, oh boy. Hayfield, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Dustin Sorensen is Rochester, Minnesota. Yep. So
There's no
Minnesota
Minnesota
sweep.
late models that are going to win.
What's that?
None of the Minnesota late models are going to win.
Ooh. The odds are Pierce, right? The odds are Pierce. I would
Gustin's won there before. Hoffman's won there before.
I would not be shocked to
Turbo's
see.
been good there before.
Yep, but I would not be shocked to see Dustin Sorensen win in the late model. I would not be surprised. He's really good there. He's been good there, and I would be over and under 1.5 podiums in the late model for Dustin Sorensen this week at Mississippi Thunder.
I would take the under 1.
Bert,
I'll take the over.
I think I'm going to take the over too. I think Dustin Sorensen's going to have a big weekend.
Take the under 0 if there's a such thing.
You don't think he's going to hit the podium? We just got done talking. We just got done talking about like it's Bobby Pierce and literally nobody else.
Well, I tell you what, Gustin, Hoffman, and Turbo are all good there, and all of them will be there.
Right, but Dustin Sorensen is getting faster and faster and contending. I'm telling
you, there too.
Out of all the local / somewhat local late model drivers, I would assume Dustin Sorensen probably has the best odds of running up front, right? Oh. Jake Tim's got a brand new car. You got Brent Larson. I don't know if Matthew Larson's maybe going to race. Chad Mater's going to be down there. I would expect this. Well,
a better chance.
Well, the Dirt Kings don't race this week, right, Bert?
No.
So Shawano races and Plymouth has the Super 6 on Saturday. Should we expect to see any of those Eastern Wisconsin cars make the trip to Mississippi Thunder?
The only one that, in my thought, is the only one who would be Nick, because he tends to like to race with the Outlaws.
Swedberg runs over once in a while.
Yeah, but I just think since they've only raced one race so far this year, I think, they'll want to get started on their local stuff.
Well, let me ask you this, and I hope I'm wrong, right? Lucas is running, Hunt the Front's running, right? The Eastern Wisconsin's running, Ogilvy's racing. I mean, should we expect to see 35 late models there, or are you going to take the under on that deal? It's isn't it? Is it 50 or 75? It's 50 to win, right? 75?
Yeah, 75. Yeah.
75,000 to win, and boy, oh boy. I mean, that's going to be interesting because you got Lucas who's got their races going on, and Hunt the Front's got their races going on. 75 grand to win. If you're a freaking competitive Wissota car or Eastern Wisconsin car, how do you not go? How do you not go to that, right?
That's why it wouldn't shock me if Nick goes there.
I would assume. So it's going to be exciting. That place does not disappoint.
Will be there, right? Chad Mater will be there.
Chad Mater's going. I would think Sam's going. Yeah, Sam will probably go. I would think probably 22. What the hell's his name? Longdale, Minnesota. Panitsky, Nick Panitsky.
Okay.
He ran good down there a couple years ago with the Dirt Kings. So I would assume to see him down there as well. Boy, I hope they get a good car count. I really do, because that place is absolutely lights out. The work they put into that place, I mean, it looks phenomenal. And and the more money on the line from this year, I really, really hope they get a good turnout at Mississippi Thunder. So with that said, boys, time to jump off. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. We always talk way longer than what we anticipate. And but Bert is really, really old, so it's way past his bedtime. As you can see, he's the only one with glasses. No, I'm sorry. We started this show. I'm sorry. We started this show. He's the eligible bachelor. He's a young man, very spry, very energetic.
I was just
right.
5 o'clock comes awfully early.
Independently wealthy, doesn't even have to go to work probably. So
that ain't it.
As always, thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.